crypto.
Question everything, trust nothing. It's your boy BlockchainCrusader here, and we got the one, the only Garrett Soloway, Magic Internet Money, for another episode of Around the Charts here on TA Thursday. So yeah, let's start pulling out those Bitcoin charts and how much lower are we going, right? The little bit of TA that I know, right, that I've learned from you guys in leading crypto, right? I did some quarterly pivots. I've seen the support. We broke below the 16,000 support line, 16,500. And I see that the next line is like 13,800.
Yeah. So
what's happening?
This is a chart that I'm going to bring up just because it's a very high time frame chart, and I think people will appreciate that just because, you know, it kind of puts things in perspective in terms of what you could be looking for. As you know, we've been working off of some pivots, right? And inside of that, we're working off of a trend. So this is your new trend on the weekly, which is, you know, down from your old trend. You're just looking for the appropriate trend. This was good. You lose this back test. Now we're looking for a broader trend. You have this one here. And again, when we're talking timing, we've been talking about November 7th for how long, guys? For about 4 months. November 7th was the day. That was the day that I ended up taking a substantial short again from this level. I just wish I hadn't closed it and just kept hanging on to it. But the 40K short is still running. So that one's good. But just looking at timing, we've been discussing that Q4 is going to be the time frame. You know me, I hate being that guy and saying I'm super neutral because I subscribe to the theory that we don't know anything in the markets. You know, I think that's the best way to go about it. What you can see is that you rode this EQ of your trend all the way until you broke, and now you're targeting the 1-to-1 right here, coming in at 10,954. It's also your local gold pocket. 13,880 is on my list of areas to look at. That's a really nice support, I think. I think ultimately, though, you're probably going to pierce into this level. And I think that 9,200, even down as low as 7,500, is on the table at that point. The problem with that is, you know, you're looking at this in terms of a really broad range, in my opinion. So it's impossible to nail the low. And if you do, it's not, I wouldn't say it's dumb luck, but there's a factor of, you know, hey, you did your homework, but getting the exact low is difficult. You know, it's one of those things where you just want to get in the nice region of it. But the reason I bring up piercing this and going down to like 7,500, for instance, right? The reason that's important is if you start closing back below, and if we put 10K on the chart, 10,500 specifically, right? We'll put that on the chart and we'll take a look at it. You start living back below this prior range support, which was high time frame resistance, 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 flipped into support right here, and off it goes, right? You really don't want to be losing that. If you lose that, I think that, you know, I know Garrett's mentioned it as well. There are targets at like 3K from some people. I think that's getting a little ahead of ourselves as of right now, but you do have to understand how that type of target comes to fruition and what the implications of that are. And I think if we got that low, that I'm not saying crypto's dead by any means, but I think the market at that time is going to need years and years and years to recover. And that would also be traditional markets as well. And to the flip side of this, man, I mean, like I said, I always remain neutral. As Gareth was indicating, you know, we can't really spend more than a few days down here not recovering any ground. For me, if you're just looking at this on like a weekly closing basis, right? You've got 17,592 on Bitstamp. It's 17,567 on Bybit. You have to start closing weeklies, and that has to transpire into monthly candle closures above these levels, holding them as support, showing that there is a failure to push lower, meaning that sellers are actually exhausted, right? If you don't see that in price, to me, it's really foolish just to be calling a bottom to call a bottom, which people have been doing for the last year. So that's how I'm viewing the chart, fairly neutral, keeping it fairly high time frame for that type of stuff. But to Gareth's point as well, you did something very similar in 2018 where you kind of dilly-dallied around here and dumped. You also did it right here. When you broke down from this head and shoulders, you pretty much hung out for a few days. People were taking longs again. And then on like the fourth day, it just absolutely nukes because you're not reclaiming any bullish ground at all. So yeah, I think I share the same opinion as him. No matter how you draw it up, you have to get back above this level and be living back in this range.
You gotta get above what level again? What's the exact price?
17,592 here. If you were looking for an exact level, like in terms of like if it was like an impulsive move, like, and I mean like a quick one, like let's say it doesn't wait for you to get that, you know, weekly closure or monthly closure. When should you get excited about price again? So if you guys remember, the TPO point of control was at 19,150. Now your 40 tick volume POC comes in there as well. That's also your October POC, or October POC. It's no longer naked. And you have a nice monthly level at 19,411 and your golden pocket from high to low, right? So if I was looking for a region that I had to get back above, this is going to be it. Your volume point of control on the 40 tick is there. Your time point of control is there. And this was the level, if you remember when we were up here, I said, if we lose 20K, you're probably going to 19,150. And if you lose that, like all bets are off. And you're heading up or you're heading down. So if you get back above this, I wouldn't say all bets are off for more downside, but I would say be wary of the next zone up here, but holding this as support again on material closing basis would actually look good. The only issue with this low that came in is that I have exo charts up. I actually need this one, single prints. The only issue with this is you don't really have a good low. So if you remember back when I was talking about the $32,000 low that we put in, oh man, when was that? Like January? That was actually classified as what's called a weak low. And we have another weak low at the bottom. Now you have a really nice low from yesterday. This session is actually a fairly bullish session. However, it's the overall low that matters. And this being a weak, poor, or, for lack of a better term, we'll call it weak low, it does carry an over 80% chance of being taken again. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to nuke to 13K, but it does imply that we're going to revisit this area. And if we are going to put in a formal low here, it's probably going to take that low and trap some people down beneath it, like a swing failure pattern, things like that. That would be the only trade available in that instance. But yeah, you are looking at this, and then you've got very clear levels to the downside right now, like 16,922 to 17,026. That little $100 pocket is a single print that was actually defended earlier to the T. So if you come over here, you'll see that you were coming down defended to the T. What do we know about single prints? If you guys have been watching the show, once you identify them, they're actually for trend continuation. So if they are lost, the trend is usually weakening. You're probably giving up session points of control as well. In this case, you're coming back, you're defending it, you've made a new high, and you're making a higher low. However, if you lose this, these guys that are entering long up here are going to be underwater, and the odds of you not coming back down to at least 15.8, and then maybe even the overall low, which is marked as the previous day low here, are probably not so good. I would expect to see that low taken. So, yeah, that's how I'm viewing price in a nutshell. It's very technical as always. It's, we trade the charts, not the news.
Like always, question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, hodl like a top. See you guys.